Well, hello, everybody. It is Dennis and Andy with your movie review that we're doing just for you because we care. We go to these movies on Thursday nights to do these reviews Friday morning, not because we want to, but because we care about our audience. Just kidding. We love movies. And last night, as you saw in that thumbnail I had up, we saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This
Oh
is
yeah.
yeah, this is the fourth movie. Uh it is definitely, there was, just for people 2011 or 2000, yeah, 2011 Rise of the Planet of the Apes, 2014 Dawn of Planet of the Apes, and 2017 War for the Planet of the Apes. That was kind of the first trilogy. I don't know about you. I don't remember the ending well enough from War of the Planet of the Apes to know if it was like, "Ooh, I can't wait for the next one," or if they tidied things up.
No, it actually was fairly tidied up, and that's why
That's what
when
I
they
thought.
announced this, I was like, "Huh, I wonder what they're going to do." And they do even in the trailer. The synopsis is many years after the reign of Caesar, which was the that trilogy, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything that he has been taught about the past, but then he must make choices that will define the future for both apes and humans alike. And I thought that was a really nice touch, because you are dealing with something that takes place a couple of generations after Caesar. And it kind of reminds me of like the Shannara trilogy, stuff like that, where how does it deal from generation to generation, and what has happened since the conclusion of Caesar, who wanted to live with humans and do it. And that's what this movie's all about.
Yeah, and I got the sense because it does start, and this isn't a spoiler. We'll do our non-spoiler, then we'll pause to a spoiler part. Um, it does start with some text just to help fill things in, and it does say multiple generations, I think is how they worded it. So I
Yes.
get the sense we're looking at 30 to 40 years later just from the overgrowth of vegetation you see in the few times they showed like the big city with the skyscrapers, but they're all vegetated out, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
Um,
those scenes reminded me very much of Logan's Run, the that great movie
yeah,
from the '70s, and Michael York. And when they got to the old Capitol and it was overrun, very reminiscent of that. I thought it was incredibly well done.
yeah. And the CG was great because honestly, the first half hour or more of this movie, it's all just, apes and gorillas and orangutans, whatever, different stuff. So you're looking at it and you're just really, at least I was really looking at the close-ups and stuff, and I thought it was done really well. The main ape is played by Owen Teague. His name is Noah. They did a really nice job, I thought, because so basically Noah is part of this tribe, and this tribe is really made up of, from what you can tell, all the same, I guess, same type chimpanzees, like
Yep.
large human sized chimpanzees. You're not seeing a mix of like, oh, there's a gorilla over there, oh, there's an orangutan over there. And but what I thought they did well is, it introduces Owen or Noah, and it introduces basically two of his friends that he grew up with. They're all the same age. They are about to go through this ritual, which maybe we'll talk about in the spoiler section. And it's another male ape and then a female, and you can definitely tell in the face that one is a female, and then obviously the voice. But even with the other, male ape that is around the same age as Noah, once again, just the little subtleties in the shape of the head and the hairline, like with humans, to tell that yes, these are different individuals, you
Right,
know.
and each of them had not only different, they're obviously different voices, but their personalities were very distinctive.
Oh yeah.
And it really was enjoyable because during that ritual you get to focus in on those three, and it was very, like I said, it wasn't super fast, it wasn't high action at the beginning, but it was
No, it was a
building
slow
up
burn.
their background, and it was done in a very nice way that really brought forth the differences and the characteristics of the clan. They call it's the clan of the Eagles, basically, and
Yeah.
that which was cool, which was cool.
It
So
was cool because, you know, in KOR-DRATH, we have Adriana, part of the Black Eagles tribe. So I did lean over to Dennis and go, I think I smell a lawsuit. And he said, calm your horses there, slow your roll. We would lose. And I'm like, fine.
because they're not
But
black, that's why
right, they were
they were
red eagles, it
beautiful
looked like.
reddish golden eagles.
But they did. This tribe that Noah belongs to had eagles, lots of them that they trained and worked with. Um, but back to the tribe, uh, you know, it's a slow burn because even though there were three previous movies, like Dennis said, those dealt with Caesar. And this movie, in the beginning, does wrap up the Caesar, you know, part of it, you could say,
Yeah.
which stay around for spoilers if you want to hear how. Um, so they do touch on that. And I mean, it's talked about throughout the movie too, because he is, I mean, he is like God in a way for these apes now 30, 40 years later because he was the first one.
But those of you that
Um,
are fans of Planet of the Apes, he was the original lawgiver, and that
right,
is the term. And they do a great job. I thought they did a great job of incorporating not only what was in the last three movies, but they give really nice subtle nods to the original movies going all the way back to the
right.
60s, you know, with terms like, you know, Nova, and we will call her Nova, and they talk about the lawgivers and what they do. They did a nice job of balancing all of that out, bringing a really great story to the screen, but giving fan service to the original ones without destroying anything. I thought they just built on it. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. And then, you know, we get introduced to May, who is played by Freya Allen. She's the main human in it. And basically, she is, well, to backtrack a little bit, uh, once again, we'll get into spoilers later, but Noah's tribe is basically overrun by this other large tribe of apes, but they are varied. You've got this other tribe is kind of stereotypical in a way where you've got the main big bad dude. He's a gorilla. You know, he's got shoulder pad armament and stuff. Badass gorilla dude. You've got uh different types of apes in it as well. So there's definitely more of a variety. They're definitely more warrior type, whereas Noah's tribe is not really a fighting type tribe. And uh, you know, stuff goes down between the two, we'll say. And then you do get introduced to May, who you know can talk because in the beginning, you know, Noah does meet Proximus. That was who he met, right? Proximus, the orangutan.
No, 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 no,
Oh no,
no,
who's
no. Raka. Raka is
Raka?
so
That's
their
it, Raka. I'm
name is
sorry, Raka.
Raka. And Raka is the
Raka.
last surviving member
Yep.
of the those that followed Caesar from back in
Yes.
the last trilogy. So they really interweave that really nice, and the three of them wind up going on this journey to go free his clan. And there's a lot of great action scenes going in there, but they also start really delving into where this movie's going and then the past history and melding the two together. And I thought they did a brilliant job of that. Most of the stuff we need to talk, though, is going to be in the spoiler section. But
Yeah.
I thought the ending was fantastic. I thought the action, the acting, the scenery was beautiful. The CG was great. This was an incredibly solid movie. It actually kind of reinvigorated what could they do with this. Now that I see where they're going, they could do something really special with this and kind of harken going back to the very original movies.
Yeah, I think and Rocco was played by Peter Macon. I'm guessing he played him originally. But they did a nice job because, like Dennis said, he's an orangutan way back from the Caesar stuff. Remember, this bounces about 40 years in the future or ahead. They aged him up really well. Um, and yes, they, the the bigger warrior type apes come in, kidnap a bunch of the tribe. So the three team up. They need to save Noah's tribe. The human girl, May, needs to get to this location because there's something she needs to help the humans out. And they do a really nice job. And like Dennis said, we're going to do more in the spoiler section. Uh, I mean, I'll just second what he said. I thought the acting was really good, especially with the motion capture, because you can recognize some actors just from their
Yeah.
eyes, which I thought was really cool. And it did. It starts slow, but it is building, even though Planet of the Apes had 3 previous movies for this era of it. They had to do almost new world building because of how this jumped those multiple generations. So it did have to start slow to kind of introduce you to the characters and what's going on. But it ramped up nicely.
It did.
So
And there were a couple of what I'll call a little slow spots, but they were important. They weren't unnecessary because they were building stuff. So the flow actually was solid. Guys, I'm going to recommend this. I know we're going to get into the grades here, and I think Andy, you get to go first.
oh, do I now? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. If I was going to be negative, I would say, for the love of God, if a movie showtime is 6 o'clock, maybe started around 6:15 and not 6:30. I looked at my watch. 6:30, guys, a half hour of
Yeah,
freaking trailers.
it
I
had
like
nothing to do
trailers.
with the movie, and it's 2 hours
No.
and 25 minutes.
Oh, 225, whatever. It's it didn't feel like it. It's just a stupid trailer. So anyhow, I'm giving it a 8.0. Um what was so funny?
Well, obviously we like the movie exactly the same because I just laughed and I was like, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm giving it."
Oh, okay. So there you go. So Dennis is giving it an 8.0. I'm giving it an 8.0. This is a non-spoiler. You As soon as it's over, you can leave. No
Yep,
after credit, no during credit.
I am.
And I'll even I was going to say what I liked about the ending of the movie is you see some movies, you know what? I'll throw Green Lantern under the bus. I know Dennis hates it. I have a warm spot because of Ryan Reynolds and I love Green Lantern. But here's what Green Lantern did wrong. Yeah, we know the movie's going to be great. It's a superhero movie. Introduce Sinestro so we can lean into the sequel. The movie bombed. There was no sequel. This movie actually, the story, it's a one and done. So if this movie tanks, they could go, no, we only want to make one. But if it does so phenomenal or middle of the road and they're like, we're making another one, they can continue the story. But it ends where you're satisfied. It's a nice one and done. And you hope they make another one.
Yep. IMDb is giving it a 7.4, which is dead on with what we're usually on, where they fall. And Rotten Tomatoes, there is no audience score. Obviously, it's too new.
No.
The critics are giving it an 82%. So
Yeah.
we are kind of right there. Guys, this is definitely worth seeing if you're a fan of Planet of the Apes. I think you'll enjoy where Wes Ball is taking this one. I think it was a very good director. I can't say debut because, you know, he's known for the Maze Runner, and that really was good looking. Not some of my favorite movies, but that was good looking, and I think he did a great job with putting this one together.
Yep. So now it means spoiler time. Guys, if you don't want to know spoilers, we appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and share to the channels. Of course, sharing is caring, and we are going to delve into spoilers for Kingdom of Planet of the Apes in 3, 2, 1. Spoiler time. I'm go first because I'm so excited for it. Yeah, they do wrap up Caesar in the beginning of the movie because he's dead on a wooden funeral pyre, and all the apes gather around and they light it up. And
Again,
that's
KOR-DRATH. They took KOR-DRATH again.
I know. I'm seeing lawsuits all over the place here. I thought that was really cool. I thought it wrapped up Caesar's story nicely.
Yep.
There wasn't really. I mean, could it?
Well, but what
Could
that
war
did was it when you saw his death, and then as it goes through, that's why you're trying to piece together roughly how much time. And you know, because it's multiple generations, he's been gone for a while. You see his what he did at the end, the apes all coming together. That was really really cool. But it set the seed. Oh, this isn't taking place right after. This is
Oh no.
this was a good setup, and I like.
I'm
I
telling
like
you, by the vegetation, and this is the only reason I'm throwing down 30 years is I don't know if you remember the show. I don't remember the network it was on, probably Sci-Fi, something like that. It was like a decade or so ago, but the basic gist of the show was what happens if boom, everybody on the planet's gone. Every human. And then vegetation comes back. And throughout the hour-long show, they would go, here's a year later. And they would pick a specific location.
Yep.
And then they would go, and beautiful computer graphics, here's a decade later, and so on and so forth. And you would just see, like, you know, they show this one street and the cars would lose air in the tires and they'd rust out, and then the vegetation would grow up. And the next thing you know, you're looking 20, 30 years later, where the highway was, you can't even tell except for like lights sticking up because the highway's totally grown over. You can't see concrete. And that's why I'm saying when you look at like the cities and stuff, the long shots they did, those skyscrapers look like just huge rectangle type trees.
Well, and the other thing, think about now, apes' lifespans aren't as big as what humans are. You know,
Well,
they're
that's the one thing that I was like, how old is this orangutan?
well, but so 20 to 40 some years is typically what they'll last to. So if it was generations, you know, if it was
That's
two,
what they
you're
said.
probably talking 40 years, maybe 50. If it's three, it's going to be longer than that. But they don't need to explain it because
Right.
it's not really germane to the conversation,
No,
but
I
it
know.
allows us to have this conversation about it.
Yeah. What else do you want to delve in? Well, so spoiler wise, because my memory is the way it is, I'll bang out the few I remember, and then Dennis can do the ones that I'll be like, oh yeah. You know, the girl May, her whole goal is to get to this encampment, which is basically a nuclear site, and she says she needs to get this book that will help bring the humans back. And it's not a book. It's basically a big, fat, thick hard drive that she'll end up, you know, retrieving. I did find it interesting. I want to ask you this, Dennis, and we never really talk about movies afterwards. We basically go our separate ways to our cars so we can keep the talk fresh and not try and rehash stuff. The virus that they explain in the text in the movie that there was a virus created. The virus gave the chimpanzees and apes the ability to speak and get smarter, blah, blah, blah. So as they would, you know, mate and whatnot, it would just go on and whatever. Whereas for the humans, I guess if the humans were infected from it, it took away their ability to speak, right? That's what it said.
Well, it said, but then May also talks about it
Right,
during it. So basically, it not only made the humans dumber, where they couldn't, a lot of them couldn't, they didn't have the cognitive ability to do so,
right,
but it also sounded like they hinted at that it wiped out vast portions of the
right,
population. So it was almost maybe like a T virus from the zombie stuff, but then it made a number of them really almost Cro-Magnon like, and
right,
but some of them survived, and then you do find out that there are pockets, and this was really great because she starts coming forward talking about, well, the government went into the bunkers and that they locked down into it, and then you're like, oh, was it just this one bunker? Is there more out there? And that's what this movie really opens up, a lot of really cool possibilities, where this franchise could go, because it isn't like the original ones where they just went forward in time. This is taking it in a new direction. Very cool, I thought.
right. And we're not going to totally spoil the ending, but I still say, and I'm curious to see what you think. I still think, even with the ending the way it was, it still was a complete. Obviously, it was a complete story, but I still consider it could be a one and done if it doesn't make enough to greenlight a sequel. I would not be disappointed. Now, I hope there's a sequel, but
Right.
I'll go back to the 2001 Planet of the Apes with Wahlberg. Okay, that movie ended. That was Tim Burton, I believe, and that movie ended where he gets back to Earth and he thinks everything's hunky dory, and then you see, holy shit,
They're all apes.
the Lincoln monument, whatever, the cop cars pull up, apes get out and they're dressed like humans and stuff. And that movie, it wasn't an awesome movie, but because they ended it that way, I was like, well, now I want to see a sequel.
Yep.
But that movie did not do well enough to get
Yeah.
one. So
No, and if this one ends, it was very enjoyable, and again, Peter Macon, Kevin Durant as Proximus. There was William H. Macy who makes his appearance, which was awesome.
yep.
And Ditchin Lockman, she shows up, and I'm like, oh my god!
I know,
So
dude. Dude,
I
she
love
showed
her.
up, and I just look over at Dennis because I know he digs her as an actress. And I mean, I do too, but I know Dennis, and I'm
Yep.
like, oh boy, this
No,
got
I had
Dennis's
no
attention.
idea she was in this. So that
No, no,
Nope. No,
no.
and one of the things we do is we don't go in and we don't watch other people's reviews. We don't go delving into it. We watch the trailer and we're either going to go see it or not, and that's as much as we do going into it. And there were a lot of great surprises in this, and the technology, how they accomplish things at the end. It all made sense too. So there was nothing in this that you went, oh my God, they jumped the shark. Oh my God. Everything I thought was very well thought out. And if you're a fan of the Planet of the Apes, you're going to want to dig this.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to check it out. And it is big screen worthy. I'd say it's IMAX worthy.
Yeah, I
So,
wish we would have seen this in IMAX retrospect.
yeah. So definitely go check it out. It is fantastic. Just like KOR-DRATH The Awakening, our new book is also fantastic. KOR-DRATH The Reckoning got such great reviews. We've gotten emails, messages. People really loved it. The Awakening is doing fantastic. We're at $39,092, 507 backers. Thank you all so much for doing that. It says 5 days left. That is 5 days in the first 30. That brings us to next Wednesday, the Dennis and Andy show. We do have a guest at 3 p.m., Jeff Grogan, a great cartoonist, but we're going live at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time to kind of just have a first 30-day party. We'll invite some friends on and introduce some new tiers and just maybe show some pages. you never know what could happen. It's going to be fun, so join us for that. Go check it out. This book picks up not too long after the first one, and KOR-DRATH and Adriana are continuing their quest, working with her tribe, the Black Eagles. Vordoom the Undying, who was the big bad that was introduced in the previous book, he is on his own quest. Will the two meet in battle? You need to pick up this book to find out, because we are not dropping spoilers for this bad boy. Multiple covers to choose from. We got Bud Root's beautiful line art cover. People love picking that up. Of course, there's a black and white edition of the entire book with, the word balloons and stuff, so you can read it as well. So much good stuff. A new game module, preview pages for you guys to look at. And yes, for those with a keen eye, these are not lettered, because we could get into spoiler territory with the dialogue, and we don't want that. The previous campaign had lettered pages, so because it was new and we wanted to introduce you guys to the world. This one, not lettered. Just look at the visuals of these pages. New monsters created for the book. New threats around every corner. A new game module that Dennis wrote, Demise and Dracomort. Totally different story from inside the book. New parody ad. Stretch goal 50,000. Just like the last campaign, we'll unlock the first playable character card. This one featuring Vordoom the Undying. Art on the front by myself and Dan Lawless. And of course, on the back, Dennis put the work and time in, creating some fantastic stats so you can play them in your favorite game. And of course, in the KOR-DRATH game. We've got a few great add-ons like the Awakening, the layouts. It's a full-size graphic novel, but it just shows my pencil layouts that I do the inking from of the entire book. We've got the manga-size digest in black and white of The Reckoning, and the color digest. And what makes these so special, Dennis?
The fact that we listened to you guys after the last comic, the last graphic novel, and you said, we love this, but we really want to be able to show this to our kids. So both the manga version and the color digest has been made for everyone, kid friendly. They can take them to school. Highly recommend that you get those for your kids so that they can enjoy it and take it to school and show their friends as well.
That's right. And you can add on the KOR-DRATH minifigures. You can choose from a 2-inch size, which is perfect for role playing, 3-inch, or a larger 5-inch, which is like a mini statue. They come just like this in a nice clamshell packaging. And you can also add on the collector's box. Of course, if you back the featured tier, that gets you all the covers, the game module, the stretch goals, you'll get the collector's box. Or if you do the big bad booty daddy tier, that is the Reckoning and the Awakening, where you get both game modules, all the covers from the Reckoning, all the covers from the Awakening, both Adriana Lilith trading cards, the artist edition. You get it all at a great discounted price. You get the box as well, or you can just add it on if you only buy one book or two. And of course, we do have limited copies of KOR-DRATH The Reckoning still available if you want to buy singles of those. And if you want to do the catch-up tier, we do have it. $50 gets you KOR-DRATH The Reckoning with a brand new Bud Root cover for the second print, and volume 2, The Awakening, with my cover. And we also added for retailers out there a 10-pack, nicely discounted, 28% off. So from $250 down to $180, 10 covers or 10 books. You pick the allotment of the covers. And we also did a 25-pack, usually $625, $400, 25 of the Awakening. You can do any amount of the covers you want for the 25 books. So go check it out, guys. The link is in the description below. Sharing is caring. So please share the campaign if you've already backed it. And thank you so much for backing it. We really, really appreciate it. And we appreciate it even if you can't back it right now, if you would just copy the link and post it and share it around, because it really does help, guys. And thank you so much. We'll be back on Wednesday. Next week, we're seeing the movie If. That's right. That's the name of it. If.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks. And we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye,
Live long and
everybody.
prosper.
Yeah.